Hi everyone! Today I have 4 steps for you for revising your book like a boss. Revising may not be your favorite part of the writing process, and if that's the case, it's okay. Every writer has their own favorite part. For me, it's the big magic. More on that in a second. The beginning of the story, for me, starting the story, is absolutely, without a doubt, unequivocally, the most challenging part. Why is that? Well, for me, again, it's because I don't necessarily know the characters well enough yet, especially if it's a first in-series book. The beginning is also when I introduce new characters. Since I write mysteries, among other things, that means I'm adding people to my red herring situations. I'm creating false suspects, and I'm fleshing out the victim and the villain. Also, because it's hard, I tend to procrastinate when it comes to beginning a new book. After I finally do finish the first draft, though, I inevitably end up going back to the beginning and reworking it. I do this because all of those characters, the new ones and the old ones, have evolved through the writing process of that story, that particular story, and I understand so much more about them. When I'm done, I want to come back and fine-tune my early renditions of them based on the new knowledge that I now have and based on what I know is coming. So going back to the beginning is where my revision process starts. But after I do that, I have 4 steps that I follow, and they keep me on track. That's what I'm sharing with you today. Back to the big magic for a second. Earlier, I mentioned Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. I love the idea of big magic, and I love big magic moments. They have happened to me most viscerally when I wrote the Pippin Lane Hawthorne Book Magic book series. There are Irish deities, a 2,000-year-old curse, and Irish and Roman history. As I dove into research on these things, I scurried down rabbit hole after rabbit hole. Each one led me to information, a story, a fact, something that I hadn't known and never ever would have thought of on my own, but which magically somehow worked with the story. That was big magic. And that is my favorite part of writing. I get chills when it happens because it's so random and yet it can be so perfect. It's such a great feeling. So yeah, definitely big magic is my favorite part of the writing process. Revision comes in a close second. Some people are the absolute opposite though. They love the beginning of a new process, a new project, and they hate revising. They find it tedious, or they simply don't want to spend the time. If you're not writing, you're not writing, right? Wrong. Again, it's part of the process. Revising, more than anything else, is what transforms a book from okay to great. It can definitely do that for you. It does it for me. It is so rewarding because this is when my books truly come alive. I look at my word choice, my sentence structure, my character development, the dialogue, the overall plot. I look at it all. I examine it both explicitly and intuitively because I really firmly believe that there is a part of the process that is about mechanics, but there's also a big part that's about feeling the story, really getting into the emotions of it. Wherever you fall on the revision spectrum, I encourage you to embrace it, to make it a solid part of your process. Here's an analogy. You may love cooking, creating in the kitchen, making something for others to enjoy, or maybe it's planting a garden, but you may hate the cleanup or you may hate pulling the weeds. Honestly, I'm right there with you on both of those examples. The cleanup, though, and the weed pulling is essential. In order to be able to cook or for the vegetables to grow or to bake again the next day, the kitchen has to be clean, the garden has to be weed-free. Plus, the end result of either of those things is just a reward in itself, at least for me. It's the same with revision. The writing of a story, creating something from nothing except your imagination, is incredible. Revision is a necessary part of that overall process because it helps you perfect the writing, to take what you wrote and to mold it into something better, to get it ready for someone else to read and to thoroughly enjoy it. It helps you fulfill, then, readers' expectations. And it clears your mental mind, making it ready for you to get on to the next project. All right, I have 4 steps to help you through the revision process after you've finished the first write of your book, like a boss. The 4 steps of revision. Number 1, step away. Take a break after you've finished writing and before you start revising. This allows you time away from your characters and your plot. It allows you to revisit the whole thing with fresh eyes from a fresh perspective. When we write, we get so close to everything that we're doing. So stepping away is kind of like a brain cleanse. It gives you the chance to look at your story with more objectivity, more clarity. Step 2 is a quick read. If you take a lot of time to read through your work, you're much more likely to miss the gaps, to miss the confusing parts, the inconsistencies, or the big picture things that might need improvement. Instead of doing a leisurely read after you've stepped away for some period of time, dive in and read it quickly. Read your book over the course of a weekend. By doing that, you're able to spot things because it's fresh in your mind. You're looking for plot inconsistencies. You're looking at plot structure. You're looking at how closely the story's overall structure is working, and you're ensuring that it flows logically, that you haven't missed any steps along the way. This is going to keep your readers engaged. You're looking for your own engagement. If you get bored, they're going to get bored. Check for plot holes, unnecessary scenes, or sections that feel rushed or, conversely, are dragged out. Make sure the story's conflict, climax, and resolution are solidly done. Make sure the protagonist has undergone a significant change. Thinking about the hero's journey, but even on the 3-act structure, we have an evolution for our hero, our protagonist. Finally, look for pacing problems. With consistency, you want to review the story for consistency in the details, the settings, the timelines. Look for inconsistencies with character, behavior, traits, appearance. Ensure that the events and the plot points remain consistent throughout the narrative. If somebody's sitting in a chair 2 pages back, you need to show them standing, or else they need to be sitting still, for example. Step 3, dig deeper. After the quick read and after your big picture assessment, you're going to dig deeper. You just read it and jotted down notes. You didn't do any line editing. Now, digging deeper, you're going to tackle all of those notes and you're going to do your line edit. You're going to examine your characters, the character development, gaps. You're going to assess your characters' motivations, their personalities, their relationships. You're going to ensure that every character is distinct. Maybe it's dialect, however you present that. They need to be believable. They also need to serve a purpose in the story. Look for opportunities to deepen each character's development, story arcs, and remember that everyone is the hero of their own journey, so they need conflicts of some sort. You're looking at dialogue. Look closely at the dialogue. It should be natural and serve a purpose. It must reveal character traits, conflict, internal goals and struggles, or it needs to advance the plot or build tension. If it doesn't do one of those things, it doesn't belong in the story. Ensure that the dialogue is authentic and helps to engage the reader. Now, little note, I have a free quick guide to dialogue available on the WriterSpark website. The link is in the show notes below. It's a PDF booklet and it tells all about dialogue. Believe me when I say that poorly written dialogue can doom a project. The second I come across dialogue that does not sound or feel authentic, that's it. I put that book down. I cannot emphasize enough how important mastering dialogue is. Read it aloud. Listen to other people talk. Really pay attention. All right, you're going to look at your prose. Pay attention to the language, the syntax, the style, the sentence structure. Eliminate repetitive phrases. tighten sentences, and vary your vocabulary. Look for opportunities to enhance descriptions, metaphors, and imagery, all of which is going to create a more vivid reading experience. Sensory details, everyone. Step 4, beta readers. Only after you have revised your book should you send it to your trusted beta readers, your critique partners, or share it with your writing groups. Gather their feedback, absolutely, and consider their suggestions, absolutely. But always remember, it is your story. Take or leave other people's feedback based on what you want your story to be. I have a little anecdote about that. When I was first looking for an agent, I queried so many. Agents in big firms, agents in small boutique companies, and everyone in between. As it happens, I ended up with 2 offers at the same time. One was from a well-known and successful agent at Trident Media Group, which is a huge company in New York. The other was from an also well-known agent who ran her own very small boutique company. I was green. I was new to this world. I didn't know what to do, and I really depended on the people who were experienced to give me advice. I relied on their expertise. And by and large, the advice I got from everyone around me was to go with the agent in the big firm. And that is what I did. Now, it is hard to say that that was a mistake, because it was the first step on my journey that led me to where I am right now. And I have absolutely no regrets about that. I've had a wonderful career. I continue to have a wonderful career, and this has been my path. I do wonder, though, what might have happened had I made a different choice. My first agent, only after I signed her contract, might I add, informed me that she wanted me to do a major, and I do mean major, revision. See, she didn't really rep mysteries anymore, which I didn't know and she did not tell me. Romance was her wheelhouse. She wanted me to downplay the mystery elements in my book and upplay the romance. Okay, the book is Living the Vida Lola. It's a caper mystery. How was I supposed to downplay the mystery? Lola is a PI. So this was a real challenge. But I did it. I did what she asked me to do. And honestly, in the process, I lost my vision for that book. It was no longer what I wanted it to be. It had lost its spark. And it has a lot of spark. Also, it never sold. After a little more than a year, that agent and I parted ways. I ended up signing with her assistant, who was going out on her own with a different agency as a full agent. She ended up being my agent for more than 15 years. We took some time and revised it again, and I took Living the Vida Lola back to what I wanted it to be, a caper mystery with just some bits of romantic elements, sexy romantic elements. Hello, Jack Callahan and Manny Camacho. Sure, the romance is there, but that is not the whole purpose of the book. It's about Lola and her family and her life, and it regained its spark. And that book, revised, sold in less than 3 months, and the story was true to my vision for it. So the takeaway for me, and I hope for you too, is to remember that ultimately it is your story. Consider the feedback that other people give you, definitely, but revise based on what you want your story to be. Revising is a multi-step process. It will probably take several rounds before your work is polished and ready for the next step, whatever that next step is. If you accept the process and embrace it, it can really be so rewarding. It may never be your favorite part of the writing process like it is mine, but it is so worth the effort. I did not have this process mapped out early on in my career, but this is how I tackle writing a book now. And after 32 books to date, I know that it works. So I encourage you to give it a try. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. Until then, happy writing.